if it comes to going after Penny. What I will do is break down his comments after the Joe Cooper news. He had a radio show appearance with Marcus Taylor. I think it's a TaylorMade show or the TaylorMade podcast. Kind of strange, some of the places Penny's been speaking. He doesn't really speak in the local media all that much, but he goes, he picks his spots. Let's just put it that way. He picks his spots. But Penny went on and on about the media and how he's being treated and how he thinks it's unfair. He said there was a lot more negative and personal things toward me this year out of all years because he thought it was a layup, is what he said. He did go on to say, like, I need to be better. But then he ended with this, and this is the quote I really want to focus on because I just found it. I brought up Ryan Silverfield in like this arrogant way, like he's becoming a little more arrogant, but it's in a positive manner, right? He's like talking up the players, talking up the program. Let's go. I think there's a negative arrogance about what Penny said in this quote. He said, quote, I feel like if I leave, talking about leaving the University of Memphis, it's going to go down hard. So I got to take the bumps and hits. I'm fighting in the ring and in the corner right now. I'm fighting both. But he says he thinks he is the key to success here at the University of Memphis. If I'm reading that quote correctly, quite frankly, if I leave, this thing's going to shit. That's basically what he's saying. Yeah, that's what he said. I got to say, that is not only is it incorrect because of the resources and the history and the amount of coaching talent that every single athletic department has always been able to bring in to coach the University of Memphis basketball program. I think it's arrogant as hell. I think it's a little bit like, like a hero complex, I guess. Like it's very frustrating to see him say that about this program, about this athletic department, about his alma mater. I thought it was very poorly aimed. I don't think it was measured well enough. And I just think he's playing up just completely wrong.
To me, it's just a really strange comment. Kind of like you're getting at, because it's, at least to me, that's what it sounds like he's saying, or it is what he's saying. I mean, without me at the University of Memphis, it's going down. Like it's going to go downhill if I'm not here. And that just, I don't know. It just, that comment just doesn't really sit right.
It shouldn't sit right with anybody.
No. And I mean, is it good to have confidence? Is it good to feel like, you're keeping this thing afloat? I guess to an extent, but it just feels a little bit too much to be like, if I'm not here, it's going downhill. And that's why I've stayed here, regardless of how difficult it's been. Like nobody understands how hard it is to be the head coach at the University of Memphis. And without me, then it's going downhill. It just seems like a very strange comment to make. And I mean, maybe if Memphis is a national championship contender, if Memphis is, made it to multiple Sweet 16s, Elite Eights, Final Fours in his time, and they're competing for national championships every year, then that comment makes sense. Like if they're competing for a national championship every single year, then yeah, he's probably right in that sentiment. But
you've won one NCAA tournament game in 6 years,
right?
But no offense. I thought until last year you were on an upward trajectory, and he mentioned that. I thought you were. But like when you say it's going to go down and like the program's going to go up in flames, like what do you mean?
Yeah,
they're in the AAC where they're going to fall below Rice. Right. Kiss my ass. That's not happening anytime soon. As much as he believes this in his head, the University of Memphis is in a conference where they're unto their own when it comes to history, resources, and the amount of fans that rally behind that program, particular program. They are one of one in this conference. If he leaves, it's not going to all of a sudden change.
Right.
I maybe you would struggle with player getting as opposed to Penny Hardaway, but maybe you'd gain an X's and O's and you'd be okay in the conference. And hell, what if Penny Hardaway was gone? They brought in Will Wade. You wouldn't fall that far off with player getting.
Right.
You'd be okay. I found it very arrogant and off-putting. I'm just going to be as plain up and honest as possible. I found it very off-putting and kind of offensive. Right, yeah. Because you're basically saying that this basketball program without me is nothing. It's going to completely go downhill, and you guys are going to realize what you had with me.
Yeah, I think it is very off-putting, and just like watching and reading further into it, and maybe I just totally missed the buck on this. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, yes, was the media critical of Penny this year? Yeah, they were critical because Memphis was a top 10 team in the country and really looked like they could be a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type team, and it fell off. And so objectively, it wasn't good. And I think that was told. But to see like the way that he says how hard everybody came down on him this year and how against him the media was and stuff, like, do I understand that people were critical? Yes, but we've talked about this, since last season. Like, it was, for the most part, it was warranted. Like, the things that people were saying were objective. They weren't shot. It wasn't to like knock Penny off of a perch or knock him off a pedestal. It was just objectively talking about the team is struggling and they can't seem to get it back on the rails. And as the head coach, like, you take the fall for that. It is your job to take the fall for that. And so with him just being like, everybody was coming after me this year and, throwing stones, and I can't remember the exact quotes, but it was all about how critical everyone was. And I don't feel like it was, at least what I saw, I can only speak for the things that I've seen. I don't feel like I personally saw anything that was overly critical or unfair throughout the season.
I think he's been treated unfairly from like national media because they don't like how he got the job. Sure. But local media, like, here's my problem is it's like the way that this gets talked about sometimes, it's like you'd rather me and you and the seats we're in talking about this, my show at 92.9, whatever. But people listen to us for their sports information and to hear our commentary on it. It's like, do they want me to lose my credibility by shooting rainbows out of my ass when they lose to Rice?
Right.
No. I'm going to tell you what went wrong. I'm going to tell you how bad it is, how embarrassing it is. That's how it should be. You ride with the highs and you ride with the lows. That's what being the coach for Memphis basketball is about. And also, I will say this too, a lot of the shit that seemingly gets into his crawl about like where he's making it, they're making it personal. Like, you're the one who's thrown out the team chemistry stuff. You're the one who's thrown out, personality clashes and where you've gone wrong in the past with certain personalities being on the team. Like, it's not like we're attacking your character. It's not like we're almost regurgitating what you're saying in certain pressers.
That's what I was about to say. It's not like narratives are being created.
He creates them. If there's narratives created, he mostly creates them.
That's what I'm saying. The media is not just creating narratives. Weird. It's very strange.
It's strange to me, but it also, like, there's this weird, and this is mostly like first name bunch of numbers on Twitter where they're like, you want to see Penny fail. Hell no, I don't. Yeah, first of all, Tiger basketball being good, you know who that's good for?
Us.
Me and you, Christian. It's really good for us. Our views go up, sell more sponsorships, you do all this shit. And if Penny Hardaway is the one leading them to the promised land, to a Final Four and national championship, oh my gosh, who gets a positive off of that? Who gets just as much out of that? Me and you. Like, I don't get why there's this overwhelming thought process with people that are just sort of Penny apologists or whatever, that just sort of, you want to see Penny fail? Hell no, I don't.
Not at all.
That's not fun to talk about. That doesn't give us views. That doesn't give us ratings. You don't listen to us as much when everything is bad.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's just foolish to me. It's always been foolish.